Welcome back to Smart Health, your guide to the future of health and wellness. Today we're talking to Sarah Morgan, clinical nutritionist and head of nutrition innovation at Rootine. Welcome, Sarah. We're so excited to have you back on the podcast.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Rootine is launching new products to support stress, support sleep, and support focus and productivity, powered by the science of circadian health. Can you share more about those products?
Yeah, this was a really fun project because we looked at, there's this science really supporting that there's a lot that we can do to optimize human health through the aspect of circadian rhythm, but there's not a lot being done and there's not a lot of tools for individuals. So really we looked at the research that does exist and understanding this concept that when you do what you do really matters. Timing is everything. And it can take something from being harmful to helpful, or the other way around, something that's helpful to harmful. So examples are eating and light. So we used ingredients that have been shown in research to bring the body back into balance faster than you could do alone. And it's really this idea with our new line of products that optimizing the body's daily rhythm and the hormones involved of cortisol and melatonin is a massive unlock to optimizing human health.
Can you share a little bit more about the philosophy behind the formulation of the products? What makes them unique?
There's a lot of things that make them unique. So the first thing is the research and substantiation. So I did a very deep dive over about 6 to 9 months of all of the research of these different ingredients that we can leverage to, again, improve this daily 24-hour biological clock. And we also believe so much in this that we're going to be conducting our own randomized control trials this year on our different products, which will be really cool to show the optimization of this daily rhythm and then what that means for health and symptoms and the things that people notice in their daily life and in their daily rhythms. We also looked at potent doses. So a big thing about different adaptogens. The idea with an adaptogen is that it helps you resist and recover from the effects of stress, or I would say dysrhythm, better than your body could do on its own. So again, you might get out of rhythm. Your body naturally will get back into rhythm if you do some of the right things with these signals that we've talked about. But a lot of us have this kind of constant pressure, so we need extra tools to help our body resist and recover faster. So adaptogens can be herbals. We're using herbals in some of our formulas, and they have these bioactive ingredients from the plants that are standardized. So that's a really unique thing that we did, is making sure that not only the right adaptogens were selected in terms of the herbals, but they were also standardized in terms of these bioactive compounds. And we were using doses that were supported in the scientific literature to really move the needle when it comes to circadian health in these areas that we're targeting. The other thing is they're synergistic. So it's really cool is we were very strategic about our ingredient stack of how we put them together, with these ingredients actually being more powerful together than in and of themselves individually. They're also in a powder, so they're fast acting and they're really delicious. So not only do they taste good and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to drink that again, but you notice the benefits literally within minutes of taking these. So, it's really exciting because I think there's a lot of pill fatigue. People are kind of tired of gummies and all the sugar that are in them. And we have these clinician-formulated, science-backed formulas that are really convenient and versatile to be used throughout your day based off of these areas that you're really targeting that might be disrupted in your circadian rhythm.
Are there any specific ingredients that make the formulas really stand out?
Yeah, they are. I love ingredients. I could talk about ingredients for a while. So in our stress formula, we have 4 different adaptogenic herbs, 2 that I'll call out. One is ashwagandha. People maybe have heard of this. There's a lot of different forms of ashwagandha, and it actually depends on what form you're using in terms of, do they use the leaves of the plant? Do they use the root? Do they use a mix? Again, what are those bioactives? But ashwagandha is fantastic at balancing cortisol levels. There is a tremendous amount of clinical studies that support this. And I really love to call it the resilience adaptogen. So no matter what you're going through in life, it's going to be something that really kind of props you up and holds you up as you walk through potentially the deep waters of life. Another one is rhodiola. Rhodiola is really incredible for helping mood. This is a big thing that can really suffer when you're under more stress. Performance too, cognitive performance, physical performance. It's an incredible antioxidant. So when we're under a lot of stress, our body kind of takes a beating, and rhodiola gives us this ability to have incredible vitality while we're under stress. So even things like, focus and cognition, immunity is also something that's really supported in our stress formula.
And talk to me about the focus formula. What's in that helps with the focus, the productivity, with that afternoon slump that we talked about earlier?
So it is amazing. This one is maybe one of my favorites because it also tastes incredible, and it helps me get a lot done in my afternoon as well. So it has all these acetylcholine precursors, a couple of them that I want to highlight, something called CDP choline, and it's a form of choline that actually crosses the blood-brain barrier. So it's going to get into the brain tissue and help raise acetylcholine levels. Uridine is something that when you take it with this form of choline, it helps to increase the amount of acetylcholine in your brain more than individually by themselves as ingredients. And then Bacopa, a lot of people have maybe heard of Bacopa, but an interesting use of Bacopa here is it actually increases the amount of acetylcholine transmission or signaling in the brain, which is why we put that in our formula. So really when we think about optimizing mental clarity, boosting your energy, especially in the afternoon, enhancing your resiliency, getting that task list done with your productivity focus is an incredible formula.
What makes the sleep formula so effective?
So first of all, sleep doesn't contain melatonin. I think most of the products on the market are melatonin based for sleep. And while melatonin can sometimes be useful, some people don't do well with it. So we really wanted to approach sleep from a different angle. There's a couple things in it that maybe you've heard of, magnesium being one of them. It's really a brake to your brain. It helps to slow things down, calm your central nervous system. We have L-theanine, which is an amino acid that's also very calming. Something called myo-inositol, which has even been shown in randomized control trials to help pregnant women have better quality sleep, which pregnant women, it is hard to sleep, right, when you're pregnant. So if they can sleep better, that's a big signal for all of us. And my favorite in the sleep formula is a phospholipid that's really unique that nobody's really talking about, how it's kind of magic, especially for deep sleep, and it's called phosphatidylserine. And it helps lower cortisol levels. And as I was working on our formulations, I did a little beta pilot study with a bunch of my friends. A lot of them are medical doctors who are really stressed out with wearable devices like an Oura Ring, Apple Watch. And they were able to double their deep sleep within 5 to 7 days of taking this formula. So it's really great for falling asleep faster, staying asleep, waking up really feeling refreshed from a physical and mental standpoint, and just, supporting your overall health, because sleep really is one of those foundational pieces.
You mentioned clinical study. Talk to me a little bit more about that.
So we are kicking off a randomized control trial on our sleep product. And what we're going to do is look at wearable metrics of sleep. Many people who have an Apple Watch or a Ring, Whoop, they're familiar with things like their total sleep, deep sleep, REM, light sleep. So we're actually going to track all of that and see how our product positively impacts these wearable metrics. We're also looking at doing another study with our Focus product, specifically with brain activity, with a lab that is funded by the NIH, which is very exciting, and looking at cerebral blood flow and activity in the brain, as well as brain voltage. And this is a new thing that if you've heard of something called heart rate variability, which is a stress metric, that's also a resiliency and potentially longevity metric, voltage is the equivalent of that in your brain. So these are things that we're going to start looking at to tie in these wearable metrics to our circadian health and our daily health in a way that we can show people how this works, how they're effective, and how it impacts their daily lives.
What is HRV and why is that something that matters?
Yeah, I love HRV. HRV stands for something called heart rate variability, and it's basically the beat to beat variability in our heart rhythm throughout the day and at night. So we want a high heart rate variability. If you're looking at your metrics and you're like, I have no idea what this means, the higher, the better, unlike the game of golf, right? We want it to be high. So the higher it is, the more resilient you are. And if you really pay attention to your heart rate variability, you'll notice things like when you're really stressed, or if you're traveling, or if you drink alcohol, maybe even if you overtrain, your heart rate variability might plummet. So those are things that you want to watch to say, oh, my body is feeling really good and resilient, or my body's maybe under more stress. This is also a metric where sometimes it will predict you're getting sick before you have any symptoms, which is absolutely fascinating to watch. So heart rate variability, I believe, will be a marker that we start to use for longevity and potentially a predictor of future health events, even like cardiovascular events, stroke, and heart attack.
I've seen my HRV drop before I'm getting sick. I actually have started checking my HRV when my kids are sick to see when I might be getting sick and start to learn, all right, my HRV is dropping, so the next couple of days I'm going to start feeling it. It's fascinating to actually do that.
Yeah.
When we think about sleep metrics, what are 2 or 3 that you recommend that people start with?
I really like looking at deep sleep and REM. And the reason for that is because of what they do for our body and our brain. So deep sleep is when we detoxify and do all of our deep repair in our physical body. So we know that individuals who have lower deep sleep are more at risk for cognitive decline and things like Alzheimer's because all the garbage in their brain builds up over time. So deep sleep is really important. REM is your therapist while you sleep at night. REM helps you consolidate all the events of your day, and you wake up the next day feeling like, oh, the weight of the world is off my shoulders. I'm ready to take on my day. If you don't get enough REM sleep, it can feel like you're just dragging around all of these burdens that are mental and physical. So those are the 2 that I really encourage people to pay attention to. And you'll notice deep sleep is always prioritized in the first part of your night because it's that important to your body.
Talk to me about how you recommend people use these products throughout their day.
Yeah, I would say in general, stress, you could use sometime mid-morning is a great time to do that. You can also use stress in the evening if you kind of feel like you get more wired up later in your day. Focus is something you want to use when you really want to focus and be productive. So we definitely recommend the afternoon time when that natural slump happens is a great time to use it, but you could use it earlier in the day. So it's very flexible based off of, again, what some of your goals are or your natural patterns are. And then sleep, I would say about 30 to 60 minutes before bed is a great time to take that.
On the topic of stress, you were talking to me about a mocktail that you made that you just absolutely loved, and you use that at night. Can you tell me a little bit more about that mocktail?
Yes. Oh my gosh, it's so delicious. So I did some experimentation. I tested it on even my husband, who's a little bit pickier. And our stress product is blood orange. It tastes absolutely delicious. So I added some freshly squeezed orange juice and lemon and did a little bit of carbonated water. My favorite is Gerolsteiner because of the mineral content. And it was so delicious. I drank it and I was like, I would actually choose this over an alcoholic beverage, even at like a dinner party. It was so good. And what was really cool, I wore an Oura ring and I went to bed and checked my results in the morning. And my HRV went from, it was kind of low, like I'd been a little bit stressed out, like 40s, and it popped up to the 60s just by one night of, enjoying an awesome mocktail and sleeping really well and having more resiliency, which was so fun to see.
What are some other functional mocktail ingredients that you really like to use?
Yeah, I would say I've played around with our focus and I really like lime juice in there with some mint, kind of muddle that up and make it so good with some carbonated water. Honestly, the base formulas taste so good. Just adding some of these simple ingredients that you can pick up at the grocery store make for such fun mocktails. I put some raspberries in there and it was just delicious. And then for the sleep, I played around with a couple of different kombuchas. One of them was elderberry with some cranberry juice and some blueberries, again, carbonated water, and it was just fantastic. I actually look forward to it. It's like my treat of the day because it not only tastes good, but I feel the benefits, and I'm almost noticing like my body craves it, which is kind of fun.
Turning from alcohol to mocktails that are actually
Yes.
working. I love
Yeah.
it. Outside of the products that we've been talking about, what are 3 things that people can do to improve their stress starting today?
Get outside. It helps lower your cortisol levels, even if it's for 5 minutes. Sometimes we forget how important the sun is, and just hearing the birds chirping, seeing trees, seeing the blue sky. Be known. In our modern world, it's really easy for us to be isolated, and we really need community and connection. So talk to your friends, talk to your family. It is a natural stress reducer. I would say also pets are amazing for that too. And then the third thing I would say is play. And as adults, I just have a very personal belief. It's a discovery that I've experienced in my own life over the last few years that we need to play more. We forget how to play as adults, and it really stimulates all those feel good endorphins. It helps really ground us and put things in perspective, gives us a little nice dopamine boost, and helps lower that stress hormone cortisol.
For women looking to improve their sleep, what is 1 or 2 things that they can start doing that will help them today?
Well, I would say try sleep. It's fantastic, and enjoy it with a mocktail if that makes it more fun for you in the evenings. The other thing I would do is set an alarm for yourself to get off your screens at least 30 minutes before bed. It really is helpful for your brain.
We've talked a lot about lifestyle improvements and supportive products. How does nutrition and kind of the food that you're eating play a role in everything that we've talked about today?
Yeah, it's massive. So I'm a big proponent of food first always when we think about approaching our health. So again, it's you want to eat a nutrient-rich diet. It's the signals that we're giving to our body that help us be in a good rhythm. We also want to make sure we're stabilizing blood sugar and insulin levels, and the major way we do that is through our diets. And so we want good healthy fats, we want good lean proteins, we want lots of fiber. Those are ways that we stabilize our glucose and our insulin levels, because insulin, we could argue, is probably a circadian hormone as well. So your diet matters. It matters what you're eating, and it also matters when you're eating.
Is there anything else that happens when you're sleep deprived that we might not think about?
So there's another hormone that is released after melatonin called growth hormone. And growth hormone in children helps kids grow and their bones elongate and their muscles fill out. As adults, growth hormone helps us do a lot of repair. It helps with our cholesterol levels, even our brain health, fat deposition, especially in the abdomen. It keeps us lean when we have enough growth hormone, muscle mass, bone density. So if you're not sleeping well and you don't have adequate melatonin production at night, you're actually not going to get enough growth hormone that follows your melatonin, and that can negatively impact longevity in your overall health.
Sarah, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you to all of our listeners to listening to another episode of Smart Health.